those who seem to be most hateful and dangerous, um, where are they coming from?
Um, my current understanding is they are coming from a deep sense of forgetting. They're forgetting. Um, we're guided to in the course to look at anything, and if it's not love, it's a call for love or a call for healing and of help. And I um, I believe that we're on this path of awakening to who we truly are, and when we know who we truly are, then it changes everything. When we remember, not when we know, because
Right.
I think we know deep within us, we know, but we've forgotten because there's a veil. So there's a deep sense of forgetting. That is my understanding, and that's just um, I guess that's how I've been able to come to this place of non-judgment.
Right.
And non-judgment does not mean it doesn't mean that you don't hold somebody accountable for their actions, because sometimes the most loving thing that you can do is to hold someone accountable, um, and help them with a correction.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, Kathy, could we piggyback on that thought, with forgiveness?
Yes.
Because forgiveness as well does not mean that we're letting someone off the hook, that we're
Yep.
saying, well, um, you're forgiven for the deed that you did, or I will forgive you uh, when I think you deserve it. We're talking about um, totally different forgiveness than what we traditionally know of as forgiveness.
Hmm. Yeah, and the course is really radical when it comes to forgiveness. It says you're to forgive your brother for what he did not do, and what he did not do is what is not even possible, and that is to separate you from who you are, from what you are, from our oneness. That still remains. It's
Right.
just that we've forgotten.
We had that question clarified a bit.
Okay.
Um, and what they meant was that someone who was never loved due to them not being wanted as a child. So, as was explained, that a child was never to be born and the parent resented that child. So, do you believe that became very hateful and dangerous because of that? Um,
I It seems like it's possible that could happen in within someone, because what we're kind of conditioned or taught to see ourselves in a certain way, and a lot of it is in pathways we have a course called Healing Inner Child, and in that work we recognize that basically everybody's doing the best that they can, and our parents, it's just perpetuating, it's just repeating all of those ideas and those experiences, and what we decided about ourselves from a certain event or something that was told to us over and over again or reinforced to us over and over again, um, that we were not worthy, that we weren't loving, and so we act in a way that we think that we are, and we are, and then sometimes we lash out.
but, um, it seems to me the answer that we've forgotten, and that sometimes it seems the actions of our parents um, facilitate the forgetting that
Yeah.
And, I don't know the thought of, you know, a hateful person that I don't know if there's such a thing as a hateful person. Doesn't mean that there's not hate, that someone isn't expressing hate, but the person themselves in the depth of their being, um, that means that we need to look deeper.
Right. Eric, that really resonates with me because if you say that I'm hateful, that speaks to my identity, right? That's my identity. That's who you're saying. That's who I am. Um, that's very different than if I have the thought, or if I feel hatred, which happens. I mean,
Right.
and we're guided in a course to look at that, to recognize that, and to kind of admit it, that we do have those thoughts. So that because when we recognize it, when we see it, then we have when we're at choice, we can step back from that, or we can choose another way. um,
Um,
Yeah, but yes, I wholeheartedly resonate with that. I don't believe, I know that people in my life have judged others as pure evil, of hateful. I've never bought into that. It's just, it doesn't, there isn't, um, a fiber of my being that can buy into that. I don't believe that that's true.
Kathy, that answer seems so vital in this day of warfare, political discord, neighbor against neighbor, that we can look at a political figure on any side and say that this person is hateful. That, um, and then, of course, going back to what we were saying before, we're only seeing our interpretation, and it might be a collective interpretation, but
Mhm.
it's still
It very
just an
often is.
interpretation, right? And it's still just an
Mhm.
interpretation, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes, unfortunately, it's an interpretation that is broadcast and um, and shared for purposes that are not, obviously, are not loving.